Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Inside OSU podcast. I'm your host, Adam Hildebrandt. Today, we are joined by OSU Rodeo coach Cody Hollingsworth. It's a busy time as they get set for the Cowboy Stampede coming up here shortly. But first, I want to go back and get some background because this is a world that I'm somewhat familiar with, but I've never really been involved in. So how does one get involved in rodeo? As you were growing up, how did you get involved with rodeo and start to experience this format?
That's something I got involved with, I guess, just from a very young age. I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old. We started doing that type of stuff. Grew up on a little place that we always had horses. My dad trained horses, so we always had that. So that world was something we were involved in from the very beginning. And I think that's a lot of the things for student athletes now is it starts, just like any other sport, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. They start there and they just kind of continue to grow. And then you have some that just get interested or introduced to it, in junior high or high school and really take off as well.
Rodeo is physical, certainly. You got to be in pretty good shape. A lot of kids are taking care of their animals that they are participating with, so it takes a lot of dedication. To be that dedicated to something, you tend to need to love it as well. So how did you kind of fall in love with rodeo?
Sure. I think it's just a combination of the adrenaline and just the communication with you and your animal, building that relationship, and then just something that we do. I mean, I don't know. It's something that's once it's in you, it's hard to explain, but absolutely a love for the sport and love for doing it every day.
You rode bulls here
Yes.
at Oklahoma State. Was that always kind of your favorite event or what you trended towards, or did you do pretty much everything growing up?
So no, I always kind of trended towards the rough stock, which is the bucking stock, more than the roping. Just my dad rode bareback horses, so I rode bareback horses and bulls growing up quite a bit. Started out with bareback horses first, and then really got into bulls. And as I got older, just that became the one that I really loved the most.
That's you're a braver man than I think, certainly, because I don't know that I would trend to either of those animals in terms of if they were trying to buck me off. Now, you spent some time away from Stillwater. Colorado State was in there for a while. What made you want to come back and coach the rodeo team?
Sure. Yes, I started here at Oklahoma State. I'm originally from northern Colorado, so I kind of transferred home and ended up graduating from Colorado State University, and just always wanted to come back to Stillwater, loved Oklahoma State University. So my wife and I moved back probably 14 years ago now. Just because we wanted to, basically. We had a marketing company that specialized in the Western industry at the time. We produced the Women's World Finals, worked for companies like Cactus Saddlery, Flair, Equine Nasal Strips, those type of things. And we could be kind of anywhere we wanted to. At that time, we also were standing a stallion that was heavy in the barrel racing bloodline. So this is a little more of a hotbed than Colorado, obviously. So we moved back down here, and then about 1.5 years, 2 years after we came here, the opportunity for the Oklahoma State Rodeo Team coach came up, and I guess the rest is history there.
You mentioned something I want to follow up on, because I think if people are outside the rodeo world and they think rodeo, they think just immediately about the events. There's a whole economy and ecosystem built around rodeo as well. Can you dive in a little bit more about everything surrounding rodeo and the things like marketing and the business side of things?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a big business, big sector of the equine business, I think. There's the marketing, there's the equipment. A lot of that goes into the whole overall industry. And then not only on that, then you have the production of actual individual rodeos and all the business and marketing that goes on there, and the relationships with tractors and drags and all of that it takes to actually produce the rodeo.
For those who are unfamiliar with this world, tell us a little bit about the makeup of a rodeo team. Is there an ideal number of members? Do you have different members that specialize in different events? How does that all play out?
Sure. I don't know that it's set up for an ideal number of students on a team. We here try to manage between about 45 and 50 students on our team. We feel like just that's with the coaching staff I'm able to have and our facilities, that's our ideal number, that we have enough students to really get a lot of practice in and the quality of practice that we want, but we're not having so many and too many that we're not able to give those students actual individual attention. And then, yes, you try to build that team based on your needs for events, right? So when we go out and recruit, we may look at certain event that we are wanting to get stronger in for the next year or so. If we're really good in this event, we may kind of ease up on the recruiting trail on that for a year and then kind of step back into it. So we do look at that a lot, just similar to any other sport where you're trying to fill the positions that you want to fill.
How does that size and y'all set up here in terms of facilities compare to other schools around the country?
Size is probably pretty average. There's some schools that have huge rodeo teams, over 100 on their team and their facility, but I think average-wise, we're probably kind of right in the middle there. Facilities-wise, I think we're doing really well here at Oklahoma State University. We're always kind of trying to make improvements and add stuff and that type of stuff, trying to improve the facility and add new things that we need. But really nice set of facilities. We've got 2 outdoor arenas. We've got a calf lane and then a larger arena that's set up for team roping and barrel racing. And then we have a smaller covered arena that you can do everything in, but is also set up for rough stock, so we can buck bulls and horses in that as well. And then, enough stalls and pens for horses on site that we can take care of our students as well. So,
let's talk about these rodeos specifically. When you go to a rodeo or you host one, how many events are there? How long does it take? How does this all kind of structure out in terms of the actual production of a rodeo?
Sure. So in our region, rodeo is divided up into regions, which is still geographic, not like conferences like the other the sports are. So our region is Oklahoma and Kansas. It's the second largest region as far as number of students in the country. There'll be about 500 students competing at every rodeo we go to. So each rodeo is a 3-day affair. Every student competes once, and then we bring the top 12 competitors back in each event to what we call the short round, which is the finals, to crown our champions. There's 9 events at every rodeo we go to, so we have everything from your traditional events. College does add goat tying on the female side that you wouldn't see at some of the professional ones, but other than that, everything is the same as a professional rodeo.
Are there any athletes that compete in multiple events, or does everyone kind of specialize?
No, for sure. You have athletes that compete in multi-events. That's what we call all-around competitors, and those are very, very sought after. I mean, especially if you've got a good one that can compete in lots of events and do well in multiple events. That's really what helps you is when you're competing as a team, is to be able to earn points in multiple events with one person. So we're all looking for those and trying to find those all-around students that can do well in multiple events.
How many rodeos will you guys compete in a year? And then do you branch out of the region at all, or is it pretty much all within that Oklahoma-Kansas region?
Sure. So each region is allowed 10 rodeos a year. Our region is full. We have 10 rodeos. We have 5 in the fall semester and 5 in the spring semester, and they both count equally as far as trying to qualify for our national finals. So, no, we don't branch out. Students aren't allowed to compete in other regions during the year, but we're all trying to get to the college national finals, which is held in Casper in June.
Okay, very nice. I'm curious how the logistics of going on the road to a rodeo works, because it's not just you guys, it's your animals. You got to be able to take care of them while you're there, and you're there for multiple days. So tell us about the logistics of hauling all these people and animals to a road rodeo.
Sure. So our road rodeos are, it's a logistic affair there. All the students that have timed event horses that compete on their own horses haul their own horses. So it's kind of a caravan. We try to just set them up and get as many people to can ride together and travel together as possible, and just kind of set them up, and they travel on, and then I make sure I'm there from the time that the first student gets there till after the last student leaves. So, and then as far as staying there, you'll see a lot of the students stay in living quarters, horse trailers, so they can stay on site with their animals, as well as a mixture of hotels there so that they can go back and forth.
So you mentioned several athletes will take care of their own horses. how does that play? And do they get to keep those on the grounds here at Oklahoma State, and they come and feed them and take care of them? What does that look like?
Yes. So, yeah, we have room for about 50 to 60 head of horses on our facility that's for the students. So, yeah, they feed them. They're in charge of full care for those animals. They clean the pens, feed them, water them every day, so in charge of full care.
And that being said, I'm confident that the students are also probably involved in taking care of the bulls and the other animals that are involved in these rodeos. So what kind of responsibilities does the team have there?
Sure. Now, we try to hire feeders for that to take care of our practice livestock, so it's not on the students a whole lot to do that. I mean, obviously there's some responsibility as far as like when we're practicing and stuff, they gather and they bring them up and bring them in, and they'll help out with feeding and watering when we need it, but we try to hire a feeder that helps us with that as well.
I saw some quotes from a couple of your students that effectively said, hey, Cody's been really helpful within the confines of the arena. They've also been really helpful and connected with you outside of the arena. When you see stuff like that or you hear stuff like that, how does that make you feel?
Just makes me feel great, honestly. It's why I do what I do, is the relationship with the students, and to see them do well in the arena and get to where they want to go and reach those goals in the arena obviously is a huge part of what we're doing. But to see them go on and be successful outside of the arena and the careers with their degrees that they get here, and be able to stay connected with them there is even higher on my list.
We've got a brand new ag school building here on campus. Obviously, some of your students are gonna tie in with that. So how does the Ferguson College of Agriculture play into the rodeo team, and are your student athletes required to even be getting ag degrees, or can they be in other parts of campus and still come and compete?
Sure. First of all, no, they do not have to be an ag student to be on the rodeo team. And we typically have students from all 5 colleges within the university, majoring in all 5 colleges within the university. So it's a diverse group of students, but we are housed under the dean's office in the Ferguson College of Agriculture. So our rodeo office on campus is in the new agricultural hall. So we see a lot of students in and out of there, and even students that aren't ag students necessarily are coming in and out of there to meet with us and do some things. So it's a big part of us, and probably over 50% of the students are ag students, but they're not required by any means.
Okay, I'm picturing a student going to journalism class and then coming over and getting on a bull or a horse. So it's cool to know that all aspects of campus are able to come out and compete. Y'all are hosting the rodeo, Cowboy Stampede, coming up here. What all goes into hosting an event like this? Because, when you go on the road, certainly you got to take care of your own animals, all those sorts of things. You're kind of welcoming everyone in. So how does hosting an event like this work?
Hosting is a large undertaking, not only for the school, but also for the students, because the students are an active part of production. So we sell all the sponsorships, the ads and the programs, the banners on the arena. We sell that ourselves, and then obviously the students are a big part of putting that all together. So we go out and we set up the arena exactly how we want it, and we put the banners up. We sell the tickets, we do the marketing and the advertising. And then the 3 days of the rodeo, the students also produce it. So they'll be working events. When they're not competing, they'll be working other events. They'll help set up barrels. They'll help load cattle. They'll do whatever that we need to do during that rodeo to make that rodeo go on for the other students, all while competing themselves. So it's a huge, busy weekend for them. I know they still enjoy not having to travel and still welcoming all their friends and family in and getting that opportunity to compete in front of their friends and family here at Stillwater, but it is also a large undertaking for them as far as labor goes.
Speaking of friends and family, if you are competing within the region 10 times every year, I assume that they interact a lot with kids from other rodeo teams.
Sure.
Do you find some camaraderie with that because you're seeing the same teams a lot of the time?
Oh, sure, absolutely. And, rodeo is pretty unique in the camaraderie with the competitors anyway. I mean, you're always helping each other out, whether they're on your team or somebody else's team, once you get to know them. And a lot of these teams, a lot of these students come from the region. So, they know each other from high school rodeos and open and youth rodeos and that type of stuff. So they're friends with them already. They just chose another school. So there's a lot of mix and a lot of camaraderie with those students all throughout the year. And, there's even students that I know very well that go to another school that we can help do things with them as well. So it's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of working together to make it happen.
Cowboy Stampede is not on campus. It's out at the fairgrounds. How does the city of Stillwater tie in and either partner with you guys or benefit from an event like this?
Both, yes. They partner with us. Visit Stillwater is a big supporter of us and helps us produce that rodeo and helps us get the word out and the advertising. And then, the city of Stillwater, just the public city of Stillwater, has been awesome. This rodeo produces one of the largest crowds that you'll see at a college rodeo. It's always loud and it's always full, which is great for the students because college rodeo doesn't always have a huge following at some of the other communities. And so even the other students from other teams love to come in here and compete because they get to compete in front of a crowd. So we're very blessed with how Stillwater supports us and the overall community supports the rodeo.
When you have a student athlete that graduates and moves on to either professional rodeo or whatever comes next in life, how do you want them to have been impacted by their time with OSU Rodeo?
I just want it to be a positive impact. I want every one of my students that come here and compete to be able to take something away from the rodeo team that they can use either in the arena or in life later as they grow up and they turn into productive members of society and they go on to their careers, whether it be rodeo or professional careers outside of rodeo. Just take something that they gained out of their experience with Oklahoma State Rodeo as a positive and use that in the future.
OSU Rodeo Coach Cody Hollingsworth, thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next time on the Inside OSU podcast.